Hello, my name is Nelsonator, and I'm here with my friend.
I'm Parish Torch.
And this is Let's Play Mega Man Battle Network 6, the beginning of the request board. A big problem with the request board is that you can only take 1-star requests, and then you have to take 10 of them, and then you can do 2-star requests and up and up. So I couldn't really get any work done on the request board until roughly this point of the story. So I'm just going to sit down and do as many of them as I can now. So this is going to be like a 2-ish hour podcast, essentially, of us just kind of hanging out while the requests happen. The first one here is kind of interesting because you have to loan a guy some money, and as you know with video games, if you choose to wait the longest period of time after giving him the money, he'll always pay you back for a whole lot more than he originally would. So you take this request, and then you wait until the main plot advances far enough, and then you'll get 10 times the money you put into it. So I think you put in 10,000 zenny and you get out 100,000 zenny, and that's all this is. As long as you can afford to give him 10,000 zenny now, you'll get 100,000 later, so huzzah!
Yep, just like a lot of these investing things, as you mentioned, in video games, you always get a return on it. Because why ever would someone invest money and then just not make a killing off of it? That's totally impossible.
Yep. And although that does remind me of another game I saw played recently called Lennis, which is like a Dragon Quest inspired RPG on the SNES. I think it was made by Enix, who made those games. And there's a mercenary system where you can hire mercenaries to go out into the wild and be with you the entire game. The problem is there are some mercenaries who are bad. Like, there's one guy who, if you hire him, as soon as you get into a dungeon, will just run away with all your money. So, like, that's one of the counter cases of you do not get a return on your investment, because you pay money to hire him, and then he takes your money to leave. There's also some other lady in that game called Big Mama, where, like, you can hire her, and at the point where you find her, she's okay, but then when you try to dismiss her and hire any other mercenary, she's like, no, I'm not going anywhere, and you're like, oh, I made a big mistake. Because you're just stuck with her for the rest of the game. And, like, she was okay when she joined, but, like, there's this other dude called Mouth. He's got a lot of magic, he's really good at swords, he's really good strong. Like, maybe you want him instead. And then there's, like, a 10,000-year-old robot. Maybe you want that instead. Yeah, it feels better when you always get a return on your investment from whatever game you're playing with these fancy little stock games. But I'd like to see some of that interesting stuff creep back in.
Yeah. You mentioned with the request board, this is the most efficient way to do it, is
just wait for a while,
pack them all at once. It seems like they tried to space them out so that you didn't have to do them all at once if you didn't want to. A few of them pop up at a time in the story.
Yep.
And so maybe you do them as you unlock. Maybe that's your play style. I didn't really do that because I was so caught up in advancing the main story, because I either wanted to see what was going to happen next, or there was some urgent crisis going on and it just felt silly, like, oh no, the aquarium's being overrun by wild animals. Well, I mean, I should go deliver the groceries for that old lady now. That seems like the most important thing at this time.
And the biggest problem with this system is that I can only take 1-star requests, but 2- and 3-star requests will start showing up pretty quick, so they just sit there on the board until the plot advances far enough where you can do those quests. So, in my opinion, it's better to just leave all the we'll do whatever stuff until the end. And then the problem with it is, those 2- and 3-star quests feel like they were balanced for when they unlocked at that point. So you'll get some really easy missions that it's just like, alright, well, that wasn't a problem. Why was this a 2-star mission? Because you're 10 hours later, and you have started to taste the power. So,
I mean, yeah, even if you haven't been messing around with the chip trader and everything, yeah, you're still pretty powerful.
Yep. Like here, that was supposed to be like a reasonably hard fight to introduce you. Hey, viruses will come in recolors. Here's the Metar too. And I just immediately delete it with the air hockey, and I'm like, alright. And here, like, at the beginning of the game, that might have been a real encounter, but here, now, look at this! I drew Giga Cannon twice over the course of this quest.
And decided not to use it.
Both times. Like, if you immediately press the button, there's a good chance you'll be able to fire it off before they can duck under their helmets and become invulnerable to that. but I was just like, let's do something else. I've gotten a lot of Giga Cannon this LP.
Something that came to my mind when I was looking up some information about the game off hours. Which games had the Zeta Cannon instead of the Giga Cannon?
Up through 3. In the first game, you could have 10 of each type of chip in your folder, so you could have 10 Mega Cannons. And they had the Zeta Cannon, which gave you 5 seconds of invulnerability, or intangibility, invisibility, whatever the proper word is for it. And then if you put 5 of the same chip in the code order, you got 10 seconds. The Giga Cannon, in my opinion, is a better program advance because it's immediate damage, and when you're hitting navies, they won't go intangible in the middle of you firing the shot, so it's like, yeah, you got 5 seconds of invulnerability, but what'd you do with it? Like, the one time the Zeta program advances are good is against the final boss of 3, who does not flinch, and some of the bosses in Battle Network 1 have HP thresholds, where if you deal less damage than their threshold, they won't flinch. So, that was a mechanic I wish stuck around a bit longer, as opposed to Battle Network 2, where anytime a boss gets hit with a chip attack, they'll flinch. So, yeah, Battle Network 2 was... you first.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they have different situational advantages. It would have been nice if both forms could have stuck around one way or another, but yeah, that would have been pretty complicated mechanically.
Yep. Just watching what happened with program advances over time is also kind of fun, because in the first game they're treated like a secret, and NPCs will just be like, I heard something happens if you put 3 cannons in a row. What could possibly happen? And there are some really esoteric program advances in that game where you'll have, say, Shotgun K, Crossgun K, Spreader K, but then in order to make the program advance, you slap M Cannon K on the end of it, and that's the Power Cannon program advance. You know what it does in the base game? 200 damage!
Oh boy.
You know what Mega Cannon does on its own? 180! Is it 180 or is it 120? It might be 120, but the point is, those 4 chips, 3 of which do 30 damage each and are garbage, make a 200 damage program advance that just hits the area of a spreader. Like, compared to Double Hero, where it's just 400 damage to the entire field with 3 chips, or here's Gut Shot, it does 500 damage. I wonder if I'm ever going to use Power Cannon. Will I ever use it?
Yeah, probably not, other than to complete your library.
Well, and that's the other thing. Battle Network 1 doesn't keep track of program advances, and there's no unlock tied to it. Battle Network 1 has title screen stars, but only for beating the final boss. And then they expand on that in Battle Network 2, where it's like, oh, you defeat the final boss, you collect all of the battle chips, you collect all the chips that you can for PvP, you go beat the bonus boss, base, you go complete all the program advances, and then you can go fight the true final boss and unlock hard mode. Remember hard mode?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
That's your reward for playing through the entire game. You get to play it again, but more difficult.
Yep. And when you complete it, when it's more difficult, a special battle chip will be put into the pack of your normal mode file. That's the only way to get the Sanctuary battle chip in Mega Man Battle Network 2.
Yeah.
Yep. It required you to have a friend where you could go to them and be like, hey, let's net battle, but do it for real so that we have to trade chips when one of us wins or loses. And one of the times, instead of trading the chips, you'll just get one of the super chips that are hidden behind that. But the problem is, the game doesn't keep track of what chips you already have. It just pulls one out of the list of 10. So it's like, alright, here's your first chip, here's your second, here's your third. This is a duplicate? Don't care, you've got it anyway. Yeah, Battle Network 2 is a refinement of the first game, and it's got a lot of cool ideas, but that one was not so great.
I mean, the series in general has just had some good ideas that may not have paid off. Like, in Japan, they came out with, I had to look up the name here, a game called Rockman EXE 4.5 Real Operation.
Yep. You first.
So yeah, you could either use your Game Boy Advance or you could link up your game with the Battle Chip Gate, which is a toy that was meant to resemble a PET, and you could put physical, battle chip cards into it. and that was basically the whole game. Was you would actually be more like Lan from the TV show, where you would just give vague commands and occasionally send chips to help support your Navi, but they would basically battle by themselves.
Yeah, I think
Cool idea if you really wanted to relive the TV show for yourself, but I would much rather play a game like this where I have direct control over the battle as opposed to just, okay, here's a cannon, don't screw it up, Heatman.
And one of the other fun things about it is, like, they put a lot of net navies in that game that, like, showed up only in, like, other random stuff previously. Like, Starman.exe shows up. He showed up in Mega Man Network Transmission, which was, like, the side-scrolling game, which I don't think is particularly good, but it exists.
Yeah, that's another idea that didn't necessarily pan out.
Yeah, like, Capcom went hog wild on a lot of ideas. The other thing about the Battle Chip Gate, so the thing, before we finish that, the thing I did with Heatman here is I was like, oh, I just need to go to the Stuffed Toy compound. Let's try it with Heatman. He's a little bit closer to Mega Man, and the answer is, it doesn't work. You have to do it with Mega Man. So, at least I learned that. But the Battle Chip Gate, I think, can also have effects in this game, too. And then there's... Because there was, like... Battle Network 6, the game facts for it has just been sort of sitting for a long time, right? And then all of a sudden, there was one posted in, like, 2019 where it's like, here's the effects of slotting in all these cards to the Chip Link Gate or something like that. And I know there was a point when I played way back when where somehow, like, I activated the, hey, here's the Chip Link Gate after a battle. You didn't slot something in, so something didn't work. And I was like, what? What's this error message? How'd I get this? So, like, something carried over from 4.5 into this game, but I don't know how it works or if I'll ever be able to use it. So, yep.
Yeah, there's a... I know for a fact that there's a table that appears in Asterland where you can interact with and, you know, choose, you know, from, as you said, the available list of navies to interact with. But other than the table being added to Asterland, if you're using the Battlegate function with this game, I can't remember what else it adds. But yeah, I think it's from 4.5 onwards, it always did something in the game, even if it's just a new multiplayer mode to battle with your friends or something.
Yeah, Battle Network 5 Double Team DS, where they just remade the game, packaged like both of the two separate versions in one DS cartridge. That game also had, like, since the DS has like the DS games in the top and the Game Boy Advance slot in the bottom, depending upon which Battle Network game you would flip into the bottom, you would be able to get different bonuses for some of the navies that you would use over the course of that game. And then if you put in Battle Network 5, the Game Boy Advance version, you'd be able to turn Mega Man into Base Cross Mega Man, which, like, was a straight upgrade all around, so you might as well. It also unlocked, like, Base XX, the most powerful base that's ever been in any of the Battle Network games, where he has his aura from the old games, and he still has the intangibility movement that he has in the new ones, so it's just... Oh, it's rough to fight him. I hate him so much.
Yeah, fighting him in 3 was a pain in the butt to me.
Yeah, like, Base in 3 gets pretty darn tough. Base in 5 is, like, the most powerful he's ever been, and I've never beaten that fight. Like, even though I'm a big Battle Network head, never done it. It's too much of a pain. And beyond that, I'm not a fan of 5 at all, somehow. But...
So I found the info on the Chipgate stuff in 5 and 6.
Okay.
Apparently in 5, there are mugshots of 6 different navies on the top right of the screen that are the, you know, ones that you can actually switch into. So during battle, you can plug in a Navi chip to perform Navi change. So for one turn only, you will actually take the place of that Navi, and then, you know, you'll swap back to Mega Man when it's over.
What was this repurposed for the team system that goes on in Double Team DS? Did you ever play Double Team DS?
I started it, but I didn't ever finish it.
Okay, because you can bring, like, illusory copies of your teammates into battles as long as Mega Man's wandering around the internet. So you can have, like, Mega Man wandering around, and they'll be supported... Excuse me, burp. He'll be supported by, like, Colonel and Tomahawk Man or something, where at the start of every turn, Colonel will just pop in with his big, massive bazooka gun and just blow something away. and you can swap to them in the middle of the turn if you feel like it. Also, hello, let's talk more about the mayor. The mayor's wonderful, and the internet programs
Yeah.
want to...
Oh boy. Yeah, can you really compare to Mayor Kane? He's so dreamy.
Girl, you're never gonna be able... Okay, well, I guess they do have the... God, I can't even remember. The copy bots, yeah, so... She could at some point, but are you sure? Like...
Boy.
But yeah, the, I wonder if that system you were talking about for 5, where you could use a Navi chip and swap to that Navi, was, like, repurposed in Double Team DS for, like, to reuse that stuff.
Well, I mean, the thing I was looking up says that it works for 5 or 5DS, it looked like. So, yeah, I don't know if that was the whole inspiration for it, but...
Yep, yeah. 5 did a lot to just, like, I think 4.5 was supposed to be Capcom figuring out, like, okay, we've got an idea of where... Maybe it goes back a little further than that. We have an idea of people would be able to control Navis besides Mega Man. How do we really get to that point? And 4 is sort of experimenting with, like, here are Navis with their set patterns, but if you do, like, the Higsby's, like, open tournament thing that's in that game, where you can connect to your friend and they'll send, like, Navis from their game over, and they'll be using, like, the same chip and folder selection that Dark Mega Man would get. And I wonder if that was just being like, okay, I wonder if we can sort of, like, take what the player does and graft it onto a Navi. And then they made 4.5, and they were like, what if we just let them have a little bit of control over the Navi? Let's see what happens. And then 5 was just like, forget it, you can play as other people besides Mega Man. We need to throw anything at the wall. Oh god, 4 killed the series.
Yeah. Yeah, 5 did a pretty good job of regaining some interest after, 4 was not such a hit among the fans.
Yeah, because 4 is a very radical departure. And, like, you gotta bag on 4 a little bit. Like, it is the thing that killed the franchise, but, like, in my heart of hearts, I like 4. So, like, I seriously do. If I'm going to rank the Battle Network games, it'll probably be, like, 6, 2, 3, 4, 1, 5, and 1 is the point where I sort of stop enjoying it a little bit, you know? Which is very strange to think about and say it out loud, but yet that's what it is.
I found information about what the gate would do for this game. They specifically came out with a version called the Beast Link Gate.
Yeah.
So you had chip usage just like in the previous games. There are some exclusive battle chips that are only available, in the physical toy form, that you would not be able to get in game. Some of them are just things like Boomer Arm changes power attack for all forms to Boomer. Like, okay, that's
your charge attack changes to the Boomer. Like they did that in 5 with Colonel Soul, and it was pretty cool.
They've got Synchro Trigger, grants full synchro. Just plug it in and you're at full synchro now.
Double damage, alright, let's do it.
They also brought back all the Dark chips. So you can have Dark Sword, Dark Thunder, Dark Recovery, Dark Invis.
It doesn't lower your max HP by 1, does it?
That's a good question. It doesn't say here, so...
Okay,
I mean, they do add some sort of negative effects, like using the Dark Sword consumes a bug frag and gives an HP bug after use.
Yep.
So there's some sort of downside, but it really is only for that one battle, as opposed to the minus 1 HP permanently.
Yeah. Well, in Battle Network, like in 4 and 5, I'm pretty sure that every Dark chip would give you a bug after the fact when you used it. So, like, if you use the Dark Sword chip in 4, which you have to do as part of the plot, Mega Man will just advance up to the front row all the time. So he's just always hanging out there just like, come on, I want another sword. I'm gonna cut him up. It's kind of fun that way, you know? So I'm glad they at least preserved, like, the bugs coming out of it, but yeah.
They also added another feature. As long as the Beast Link Gate is plugged in and read, Mega Man has infinite use of the Beast Out ability.
Oh!
This can be used immediately from the start of the game, however, it is no longer possible to Beast over.
Okay.
Okay.
Huh.
And then, yeah, this is the only thing I remembered. By using the Navi change box in Asterland, the player can slot in a Navi data chip to swap their playable Navis.
Yeah, because this is the only way...
Beating the game is required to access this.
Because this is the only way you can play as Proto Man in Battle Network 6, because his data's in there. You can do it, but you need to, like, use this to be able to make it happen. But yeah, just being able to just instantly turn on, just like, yeah, let's just go Beast Out forever. Like, I don't use Beast Out very much because I like to save it for bosses or in case I've got combos built around it. But at the same time, it's just like, wow, just infinite use of auto lock-on and attack plus 30 for all normal chips? Holy crap!
It also mentions that when a chip is slotted in, the Link Navi has the Beast Out lock-on ability. This is only limited to chips slotted into the gate, not in-game chips.
Okay.
Also, well, Link Navis can be leveled up to SP level through use of the Link Pet EX toy. And so they showed a screenshot where Tengu Man starts at 800 HP, and by the end of it, he's at 1800 HP.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I remember you were talking in very early on about how you quickly outpace the Link Navis. This seems like a way to actually make them keep pace.
Yeah. Like, if... The way Link Navis work kind of now is they end up behind Mega Man, but they still get access to, like, some of his Navi customizer parts. But if they just end up above, like, 1,000-something HP base, then, like, maybe there's a good reason to use them instead of Mega Man. But the other thing to note about this is I don't think we got the Beast Link Gate here in America. I think that's a Japan-only thing. But in Japan, there's an extra, like, mark you can get on the title screen where you have to take all of these extra Link Navis and go and fight a bonus boss hanging out in a post-game area called the Graveyard. And once you beat that boss with all of the cross Navis, of all your friend Navis for this game, like Heatman, Slashman, etc., then you will get that mark. So...
Yeah, I just got to that part on the page.
Yep.
Beat him with all 5 Link Navis at SP level.
Yep. And, like...
That means you have to buy 2 separate, plastic toys. You need the Beast Gate and the Pet EX so that you can level them up.
Well, here's the thing. In the American version, you can just take the Link Navis and go fight that boss. Like, there's no reward for doing it, but you can just do that.
Right.
And I've done that, and it's just like, sure, you only have 800 HP, but as long as you can fill up, like, the custom window, you can still probably beat him. So, that... I don't think it's necessary to get the Beast Link Gate to power all that way up to make it happen, but at the same time, I wish we still had that incentive to go fight that bonus boss with all of our Link Navis. That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Heatman just shows up on fire, he's just like, yo, what up? And then you just come back 30 minutes later and Slashman's here. I'm gonna catch you up! And the bonus boss is like, not you again, why?
Yeah, that's what I absolutely love about the ROM hacking, modding, basically the scene that tinkers with all these old game files. Some people are opposed to any sort of that. Like, what? Messing around with ROM files?
There's a Battle Network 6 randomizer.
Yeah, right. You can create randomizers with them. You can dig through and find lost cut content, features that were never released for your region or something.
Yep.
Yeah, I really respect the people who go around and find all this cool stuff.
There's new functionality, such as the Mega Man Battle Network 6 Cybeast Falzer dab patch.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, there might be a bonus episode for this LP where I play through Falzer, fight some of the Navis there, and the dab patch might be on for that. Just saying. Just...
Is Mega Man okay?
I think this is a point where I'm checking something. It's been a long time since I've recorded these, so I'm just like, okay, what was I supposed to do? What was I doing at the time? This might have been one of the days where, like, one of my friends was just sort of exploding and needed comforting, so, like, I might be sort of doing that on the side. And there are some ways where I can just sort of, like, type things in on the other window while I'm just advancing text or something, or just looking things up. But yeah, like, there are definitely some points where I've been distracted in this video, just sort of standing around not doing anything.
So how many viruses do you have to go through in this encounter?
It's something like 3 or 5. I can't remember which. I think it's closer to 3, considering that, like, oh yeah, there are some level 2 viruses. They're not going to make it... Wow, good job, me. I didn't even wait for the stove to wander into range. Oops. Well, let's just dump on him, I guess.
Yeah, those are lame.
Yeah, but there's a couple fights here in a row, and then there's a twist at the end. Ooh. Yeah, this... Well, this encounter could have been difficult if I didn't, draw Giga Cannon again. But Shaky's, the way they sort of pop up in the air and come down, makes it so that you get stuck in place once you're past level 2 of them. So then the pufferfish virus, if you hit it a bunch before dealing with them, it'll just sort of like... you'll get stuck in place, and then you'll just get hit by the needles, and then you're just kind of in trouble. This encounter here is, like, reasonably well designed, because if you stay out of the way of the champies, the stove will just wander up. Oh, it looks like it's going to be 5. The stove will just wander up into that one row where you're safe, and it'll just burn it down, and then you got to deal with the champies anyway, and you can't go back to that safe zone. So the area denial aspect of that fight is pretty good. This one could be okay, but the problem is the 2 piranhas won't corner you, in the safe zone that's otherwise safe from the starfish. So, this encounter can be a little bit rough because, like, the center row is going to be sort of is going to be covered by the gunner guy down there. But then, like, I just have a time bomb. I just erased the entire thing. Like, these could have been harder if I took this encounter when I was... in Greentown for the first time, but gotta wait.
Did they really just cut off Land's explanation with, well, really, I'm blah, blah, blah?
Yes, that happens a couple times.
Nice.
Yep, where it's just like, yeah, you're just gonna explain it, then you're gonna move on, and, like, the player already knows what's going on, so they just have to show that the message was transferred, but not that it was, not how it was received, per se,
Right. Also, why did they have to switch around their positions so that that guy was cornering Mega Man?
It's a good question. They just had to put Mega Man somewhere for the cutscene, and they're like, yeah, we'll just stick him here. This is fine. This is fine.
Even though there's almost no reason that a player would have walked around that guy and talked to him from the back, but whatever.
Yep. I'm also surprised I found him so quickly, too, because I was just like, oh yeah, let's just look around Greentown. I'm like, let's at least check that extra area before I wander over. Oh, hello. And then there he was. My money!
It's nice that they've got a few more characters to, come up with the titles for the requests, compared to, say, the titles for emails that have a very limited character selection.
8 characters.
Yeah, but they're still, greatly reduced, and sometimes, I wouldn't say hard to understand, but, it takes a little bit to parse some of them.
Yeah, then there's times where, like, people on the internet that were a bunch of kids got really confused in Battle Network 2, where Shad sends an email to Land, just like, subject line, go find the bombs, and then, like, the text of the email is empty. So the way the developers showed that is they just have comma, no text, or parentheses, no text, parentheses, and then, like, people on GameWinners.com, which I was reading at the time, was just like, what's that mean? Did they screw something up? It's like, no, Shad just, like, tapped in something in the subject line, hit send, and ignored the message telling him, hey, you don't have anything in the body of the email. And he's just like, we're sending it anyway, Proto Man. There's bombs. Lamb's gotta go find them.
Yeah, that's, I've worked at a couple offices where people would do something like that. Basically use emails as, like, an instant messaging thing. Like, they just want to send a quick message that can fit in the subject line of an email. And so they'll put EOM at the end of it, end of message. So you'll get this email that'll just have a subject line, something like, make sure report gets done by 4, EOM. And then, yeah, blank body of the email. You're like, all right, thanks, boss.
You guys don't have, like... So we work at different companies, and, like, when I started working, we had Skype, and it's just like, hey, just send somebody with a message through Skype to make it work. And then it turned into Microsoft Teams, where it's like, hey, just send them a Teams message. But, like, if I need to talk to somebody, like, having it in writing that other people can see is still good. So emails are very useful, especially when you CC, like, other relevant people to keep them on task. But to just send something in the subject line and not put something in the email, like, that's not how you use email. That's not what it's for. Like, you could just pull out your phone and send them a text message. It's like, why do you need an email?
Yeah. So that was at the last place I worked at. The new place that I've moved to specifically uses Hangouts for everything. Like Google Hangouts.
Yep.
Just because then you can either send people instant messaging or start a video chat if you need to discuss something, which is useful both for inter-office and intra-office, video chats and communications about tasks.
Do you guys have, like, emails assigned by the workplace then?
Yeah, we do also have a workplace email that we use first. But, yeah, for short, quick messages, just like, hey, what are we thinking on the microphone for this proposal? That's a Hangouts message.
Yep.
Which took me a while to get used to because everyone specifically uses that as a verb. They don't say, oh, message me. They'll say, yeah, Hangouts me the details. Why is that the phrase that we're using?
Also, good job, B. I was just like, oh yeah, I'll just take GigaKid and we'll see what happens. And I'm just like, I'm probably going to whiff if I just press the button because the fish always moves. So let's just pause the button to see where it goes. Yep. It's also funny where we keep going past these people where it's like, oh yeah, there's that lady swooning about Mayor Kane and turning that other guy down for him. Like, you just wander past and you're just like, man, really?
Is she just there until the scenario advances again? Or?
She's there until the main story goes forward, yeah. I also find it funny that, like, this dude was able to upgrade his viruses in the short term, where he had, like, the level 1s and the level 2s, and he's like, no, now I need the special one. Yeah, but I think it's kind of nice. He's like, okay, I got the first thing, and I'm like, whoa, I better go somewhere else. And then he's here, and he's like, damn it, now I'm cornered. And he's like, okay, fine, here's the money.
I love that Mega Man gives him a face, too. When the guy says, oh, I thought I could get without paying, and then it's just ... He's like, what? I'm just saying. Like, yeah, I mean, he is being honest. It would be nice to not have to pay money as opposed to paying money. I can't fault him for that, but...
Yep. Well, the other point, like, I wonder how much this dude had taken, where, like, our reward from the moneylender here is just like, yeah, here's $5,000. Like, I understand that that's $50, but at the same time, like, that can go really far at these stores. How much did that dude have?
When I was a kid, just because they titled the item cash data, it really got me thinking about how money works in this game / this society. Like, you can just have a string of ones and zeros that represents money. And then I thought, well, yeah, we are picking up random mystery data around the net that just turns out to be 100 or 500 zennies or whatever.
Yep.
How does money work? And I didn't have the knowledge or the terminology to explain it then, but now the explanation that I've kind of retroactively convinced myself of is that these are basically just like the addresses of someone's bit wallet.
Yeah, we're stealing their Bitcoin, yes.
Yeah, so this, you've just got the data is just the information to access that wallet, and then you slip the funds away to your own wallet.
Yeah, and I think about that a little bit, and it's just like, oh yeah, Blazing mystery data, and then I just start thinking a little bit, and I'm like, Parrish used the number like 100 and 500 zennies. He could have gone straight to the 50,000 that's hanging out in Green Mystery Data in Undernet 6 and Val number 2, and I'm just like, so what was going on there? Were they embezzling or something? Does Mega Man just go to, like, the embezzlement hub and just, like, reach in and take out $50,000 repeatedly?
I'm assuming that some guy just, is losing his codes for, all the money he got from, credit card scams or whatnot. And then Mega Man just finds, like, hey, what's this random string of numbers? This looks like something I could, put in for, my wallet. And then,
oh, hey, I'm rich.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it. One of the other fun things I like about the Undernet 6 in that game is like the only thing that comes out of those mystery data, I'm pretty sure, is just money. But you have like an 80 or 90% chance of getting viruses out of the mystery data. So you just show up with an untrapped subchip, and you're just like, all right, let's just get rich quick, baby. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for situations like that where you know that it's going to be, a virus, untrap is very useful. But yeah, I would just save my money, and almost never use it when I was playing the game. And I can't think of any situation where I was that worried about a virus encounter to, have to put on an untrap. I would just access the mystery data, and if it's a virus battle, oh no, I battle some viruses, and then I get money.
Yeah. Yeah. It really depends on the game, because there are some points where it's like where there are extremely risky areas to wander through without untrap, and then there are some areas where it's just like, yeah, nothing's gonna happen. But whenever you're hanging out in the secret areas, it's always like, yeah, you should be carrying untraps. They're really good. They're only $100.
Yeah.
Yep. But we have to. This is one of my favorite scenarios for this, because you had like, oh, there's some kid and he's getting scammed. So we gotta go find a lawyer because this guy's threatening to sue us. Where can we go? So we just wander into court. This guy just finished a case, and he was just like, yeah, this kid, he got ripped off by this dude in the seaside area. Justice wins! So we're just like...
guy all gung-ho about it, and
oh,
it's the
yeah,
greatest.
Yeah, like, I'm glad he's enjoying himself, but we get to go back and just kind of see what's going on there, and I love that he brings his friends to this, just like, oh yeah, some kid got scammed, me and all my lawyer friends are going to take our lunch break, and we're just going to go make things right.
I'm definitely picturing the JoJo meme right now, where they're just all ganging up and kicking this dude until he's on the ground.
Yep, I also like, the text box goes really slow here for nag, nag. Nag, 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 nag. Please get these lawyers off my back. They're annoying me to death. Like, I don't know, man. He kind of deserves it because he ripped off a kid. But at the same time, it's just like, this entire thing's played for laughs to just be like, yeah, let's have some fun.
I mean, yeah, they don't actually initiate legal proceedings against him for the fraud he's committed. They're just gonna nag him to death. He's like, no, you're so annoying. I give up. You win.
Yeah, like, if you can't handle this, how the hell are you supposed to handle, like, going to court and defending yourself? But yeah, like, him just folding over immediately is, like, the instant resolution we'd expect to get, as opposed to, like, the years it could take to wind through the court system. Like, there are a couple of cases I've got, like, in the back of my head that I think about every once in a while. I check back in and I'm like, alright, we've hit, like, 5 years on this case. Alright, this case has been in the courts for 9 years. And sometimes that just happens when people are rich and want to sue each other, so that's always fun to look at.
Yeah, you think of people settling out of court as just, oh, they're obviously guilty and they're just trying to cover it up by not having a losing court case. But no, some of the time it's better for all parties involved if they settle rather than have to pay ongoing lawyer fees and other associated court costs and everything. And it saves everybody a whole hell of a lot of time to just have the matter over and done with rather than have to wait years for it.
Yeah, I also like how Lad at the end, just completely unbidden, is like, hey, mind if I give you some life advice? It's not because of the other stuff you're eating. You're fat because you're holding these fries. And then he's just like, huh, didn't think about that.
Yeah, I think it was best summed up for me or explained to me when I went in for jury duty. And they mentioned, hey, sometimes you'll just be sitting in the hallway ready to go into a courtroom and you'll hear that they pled or that there's an out-of-court settlement happening. But that doesn't mean that your time was wasted going there, because sometimes just having the threat of juries, like, I can call them right in, if we want to go to trial, like, we can start this right now. Sometimes that's a useful motivating tool. And yeah, it's terrible that happens just because our court system is so overburdened that we have to try and, like,
we're a very litigious society, you see.
Yeah, we've got to wrap things up by one way or another.
So anyway, thank you for coming out to the Let's Talk About the Justice Department. Hope y'all have a nice day.